Hey there everyone, Paler here, and welcome back. Today we are doing a Hey What's That Doom. So this turned out to be a pleasant surprise. It really did. I was not expecting much from this game. In fact, I thought it was probably going to be pretty awful. And maybe that's why I am surprised, because it's got problems. It's not a great game, but it's definitely a lot better than I was worried. Before we start, I don't care about the multiplayer. I don't. Whatever. You don't buy, or personally, I don't buy Doom for arena multiplayer. If I want that, I have the Unreal Tournament that they're currently working on, which is free and pretty darn good. I have Quake Live, which is $10 and really, really good. You got games like Dirty Bomb, which aren't quite arena, but close enough. And then obviously we have Overwatch coming here next week. All of these are better options, in my opinion, over this. I have played the Doom multiplayer during the beta, but since the game is launched, since I bought it, I haven't looked at it. I don't plan on ever looking at it. I don't really care. So today, I'm just going to be talking about the single player and the snap map option of it. But considering I had relatively low expectations, as I said, it turned out to be pretty darn good. From a design standpoint, it's very reminiscent of the Painkiller games. And this can be both good or bad, because there was one of the Painkiller games, I want to say it was Painkiller Black, was really good. A lot of the other ones were not so good. But the way the game is basically set up is you're going to start off in some type of like hallway, tunnel, something. And there might be a few enemies in there, normally not too many, at most a handful. But you'll work your way forward and you're going to run into an arena. And it's clearly an arena. Like you'll walk in, you'll see health and armor pickups laying around, possibly even like a power-up like quad damage or rampage. You'll see those laying around, and it's clearly an arena. You'll jump in, and either just your presence being there or something you do, like activating a switch, will cause waves of enemies to start spawning. And it tends to go 3 to 5 waves with 10 to 20 enemies in each wave. And once you've killed off all the enemies, the game will then, like, either a door will open up or a switch will become active that you can activate. That would make sense. A switch will, yeah. Anyway, and you'll progress down another hallway where you'll run into another arena, and you'll rinse and repeat this throughout most of the game. It's not very complex, but it's good because the actual destroying of hundreds of demons, running around with the super shotgun and the rocket launcher and the minigun, it's fun. It just works. When you get into it, it's almost like a dance of death. You're running, you're jumping, you got enough mobility between the double jump and the ledge grabs and everything, and the weapons that you pull out are quick enough and satisfying enough that you just get to this real flow where you're circle strafing around the arena, jumping over objects, landing on demons, blowing their heads apart with the shotguns and everything, and it just works really, really well. Now, the game's not without some flaws, but I think the core part of it that they did a really bad job going into, and what made it look much worse, was the glory kills. So one of the big things from the original reveal back at E3, when they did their own E3 reveal of this, through a lot of this, is the glory kills. This is when you see a demon kind of start flashing, and then the player runs up to them and they go in this little mini cutscene where they rip their head off or break their neck or rip out one of their teeth and jab it into their throat or something, and then they move on. When you're watching this as a third party of the thing, just watching someone else play, it's very immersion breaking. You have this flow of this dance of death, you running, jumping, shooting and everything, and then all of a sudden the gameplay just stops for about a second to 2 seconds while this little cutscene plays out, and then it continues on. And it's not very good to watch. I completely 100% admit that. However, in practical application, when you're playing it, it feels really good. It does several things. So the first thing it does is this game is frantic, it's hectic. When you're playing it, when you're in these arenas, you are constantly on the move, and if you're staying still, you're probably going to die if you're playing at anything above the easiest difficulty. Well, in previous Doom games, the older ones, you would get to these points where you had like 20, 30 health, and you're in trouble. And you would have to just start fleeing and looking for health pickups and things. Well, the way these glory kills work in game, it's very much like the health orb drops in Diablo 3, where rather than fleeing and breaking the flow of the game in order to find health pickups, you can push forward. And the lower your health when you do a glory pickup, the more health you get back from that kill. So if you're at, say, 10 health and you do one of these big kills on an imp, you're going to get back 50 or 60 health from him. However, if you're at 80 health and you do it, you're only going to get like 5 or 10. So these kills are used to keep you in the flow of the game. They keep you constantly bouncing from enemy to enemy to enemy. You don't need to watch your health nearly as much. You do need to be aware of how low you are and when you need to pull off these glory kills. But if you're doing really well and you're just kind of in the flow of things and you're not taking damage, you don't need to stop and do these kills at all. Rather than stop and do the glory kill, just shotgun them to the face and keep on moving. But as soon as your health starts dropping, you can continue on with that dance of death, we're going to be calling it or whatever, and just tear demons apart, heal up as you're going along, and it works. It really does. It also gives you a brief moment to breathe. And this has to do with, like, as I was saying, the game, it's in your face, it's quick. So when you're actually playing it, having that 1.5 second cutscene just to go, all right, and then continue on, it's good. It keeps it from being, I want to say, overwhelming, but it gives you a moment to just flex the fingers and get ready to go again, and that's enough. Like I said, unfortunately, it does not translate to being viewed, but when you're actually playing it, it's a lot of fun. There is a story. The story is predictable. It's kind of a cross between Doom 1 and Doom 3's story. You got both elements of both. It's pretty darn close to if you would merge those two stories together. That's about exactly what you have. Now, the way the story is done, so initially when the game first starts, you have roughly a 1-minute cutscene, and then when the game ends, you have roughly a 1-minute cutscene. And then throughout the game mode, or throughout the gameplay, there's maybe about 5 little cutscenes that anywhere from like 10 to 30 seconds. And those you have to watch. But outside of those 5 cutscenes that are no more than 30 seconds, most of them are probably closer to 10 or 15 seconds, you can pretty much ignore the rest of the story. However, if you are someone that is interested in this story, there are audio logs stashed throughout the world that you can pick up and listen to. There's a lot of like text drops, so there are like data entries you can get for all the different locations, all the NPCs, all the monsters that give a story, a history, a background of what is actually going on. So depending on how you're looking to play the game, you can either get quite a bit of a lackluster but efficient story, or you can mostly just ignore the story outside of those handful of cutscenes that you cannot skip. It's okay. There's not a whole lot to say here. I would have liked to have seen maybe a chance for them to do, if you look at Wolfenstein, the New Order, I forget exactly what it was called, the Wolfenstein reboot from about 3 years ago. That thing did actually an amazingly good story for a retro first-person shooter. It was almost like Inglourious Bastard type story, and it was really enjoyable. This is by no means anything like that. This doesn't come even close to that. The story is an afterthought for most players. But for a Doom game, that's okay. It's not a big deal. The game does have a lot of upgrades and unlocks also, and this is both good and bad. So the big problem with this game that I have is just when it's getting to be its best. So you're in these arenas, you're running, you're jumping, you're blowing things apart. It's over. I found myself so many times in the arenas wanting another 5, 8, 10 waves of enemies. I wanted to continue fighting more enemies, but it was over. And then it was like, now we got to move on to the next arena. And it doesn't take long to get to that next arena, but then you get going and you're just getting going and you're just, really in the flow of the arena because each arena is slightly different. So you got to learn where the ledges are and all that. And just as you get going, it's over again. And the pacing just never really feels, to me, it never felt to really hit its full stride. I wanted a higher difficulty where there were just twice as many waves, twice as many demons. That is what I wanted from the game. Unfortunately, raising the difficulty doesn't seem to change how strong the demons are at all. Or I'm sorry, doesn't seem to change how many demons there are. What it changes is how much damage they do to you. So an Imp Fireball in normal difficulty, which has hurt me plenty, will do like 15 health points of damage. Whereas in the next difficulty up, it'll do like 50 health points of damage. So you spend much more time dodging fireballs and stuff, and it's definitely tougher, but it's not how I would have gone about it. If they'd asked me, personally, I would have just put more enemies on the screen, but kept them at the same strength. This way you still feel real badass as you run by and you shotgun a demon to the face and he just blows apart. You still have that great feeling, yet the game's more difficult because there's a lot more enemies. Yeah, it's so hard to describe, but it was so, as soon as it was fun, it was over, right? As soon as the game was doing its best, at its best pacing, it was over, and then you were walking along looking for the next arena. This gets compromised more by, I was talking very briefly about upgrades. So, all of your primary weapons have multiple upgrade passes they can get. Initially, you'll have, like, say, the combat shotgun, so the single shotgun. And what you can do is you'll find these drones flying around carrying these boxes, and from the boxes you can acquire one of two possible upgrades for that shotgun. Either the ability to shoot like a little mini rocket or grenade, or the ability to charge up 3 shells and shoot them at once. And you can have both of these. Like if you find enough drones, you'll have both of them for the shotgun, and you can switch between these by hitting the R button. Well, after you've unlocked that, you can then invest combat points or weapon points into upgrading each individual part of that gun down. So you can increase like how quickly the rocket will recharge, or increase the AoE splash damage of the rock and everything. And you get these points by doing different things within the game. Some of them are just by playing through and completing zones of it. But other things are finding hidden secret items will give you more points to unlock more of these shotguns. You can also do this for your armor. Your armor has 2 different ways you can upgrade it. We're not going to talk about too much here, but you can increase like its health, armor, and ammo. You can also give it like different abilities to absorb environmental damage, and for your radar to flash when there's a secret nearby, these type of things. All of these upgrades, for the most part, to do these upgrades, you need to spend quite a bit of time exploring. So the maps are really well designed. These secrets tend to be really well hidden. You're going to come across a handful here or there without looking, but some of the better ones, you're going to spend some real time diving into these levels, looking at every little corner to find them, which just further really breaks the pacing of the game. Where the game's at its best, you spend very little time doing that. So if you want these upgrades, if you want to improve your shotgun, if you want to improve your assault rifle, you're going to spend a lot of time just slowly, meticulously hunting through these levels for these secrets, and it doesn't work. So rather than it be 5 minutes of crazy arena combat with a minute of downtime as you move to the next arena, and then 5 minutes of crazy arena combat, what you instead end up with 5 minutes of crazy arena combat with 15 minutes of meticulously searching the arena and the next hallway before now getting back into 5 minutes of crazy arena combat. And it just doesn't flow well when you're played that way. If you have all the secrets, or if you just choose to ignore the secrets and you say, screw it, I don't want any of the weapon upgrades or whatever ones we come across or get, that's great. It'll play much better. Yeah, that's my biggest problem with this game. I wanted more of killing the demons. I wanted more demons in the arena, more time, more waves, all of that. It would have been so much better. Outside of that, the game does have there was one other big thing that I really was looking forward to. Well, I was hoping. So there's the snap map feature. The snap map is built within the game. It's designed that basically it's a level editor, but a simplified level editor for consoles. And I don't mean that in a bad term. But it was possible that, although the campaign's only 9-10-ish hours long, depending on how much time you spend looking for the secrets, you could have gotten near an infinite amount of content from this snap map. So far, and keep in mind the game's been out a little over 72 hours, it's like 80 hours now it's been out, so people are still learning. But so far, at least on PC, none of the snap map levels are very good. I've gone through and I've played the top-rated ones, the most upvoted ones. Well, that's the top-rated. Top-rated, featured, and most played. I've played the top ones of all 3 of those. None of them are very good. None of them are very good. They tend to just be very generic and pathetic with a little gimmick here or there, and that's about it. So now, could the snap map in time become better, right? Are people maybe learning, and once they've figured out a lot of the tricks to it, could we end up with some really good maps? Possibly. It could also be that the snap map just doesn't have the features that the game actually needs to, or doesn't have enough of the options to really create good levels. Both are real possibilities. But like I said, so far right now, none of the snap map levels work really well that I've enjoyed. There's also a very odd system. The controls for the snap map mode are different than the controls for the campaign. I can't explain it. I have no idea why. They're not vastly different. So in the campaign, the R button, normally your reload button, is used for changing out mods. So if you have the shotgun and you have the charge up triple shot, you want to switch to the grenade launcher one, hit R, he'll swap it out on the fly and put the other mod on. In the snap map mode, the R is your melee attack. The R is your melee attack and also your glory attack. In the campaign mode, F is your melee attack, F is your glory attack. In the snap map, F is your activate to like interact with switches and stuff. It's not vastly different, but it's enough that you finish the campaign, you have the controls down, you jump over to snap map, and the controls are different. What the hell, Id? Why the hell are the controls different for two different options within the exact same game? I have no explanation for that one. That one is just dumb. I can rebind them, but I shouldn't need to. That's a crazy, stupid oversight. Clearly, these two parts of the game were developed by different parts of the team or different studios entirely. Yeah. Anyway, bringing it all back together. Overall, I did enjoy the campaign. I thought it was really good. I beat it in about 10 hours. Since then, I've put about another 2 hours in hunting for secrets and everything. It's hard to justify this thing at $60. At $60 with the current quality of the snap map things, I don't think it's quite there. I would say this is a good $35, $40 purchase, or if we start finding out that people can make really good items within the snap map so we can get a whole lot more content, then it's also really, really good. But for right now, I do recommend playing it. I think the single player campaign is a lot of fun. It's flawed, but a lot of fun. The running, the killing the demons is just really, really good, but it's hard to recommend at $60. All right, well, if you've played it, let me know what you think down below. Do you enjoy the combat? Have you been playing maybe the multiplayer at all? But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Until next time, this has been Paler. Thanks for watching.